Hi, Dwayne Lando. This is part 2 of the cross, the square and the cube. And not to ramble on, because it seems that the footage keeps stopping. I'm having the technical issues. As you can see on the diagram, the cross within the square is easily relative to the description what I actually described to the cross representing balance, that the cross within the square is actually the swastika and the pt2 overlaying. So that could possibly mean balance again. You know, it's the movement of being still. And also, it forms a circuitry. Now, to be direct, the cross within the square forms a division and also a circuitry. So there's now four squares within the one square. Now, it's not hard to work out. That could be relative to 4 dimensions. Who knows? You know, it could be associated to the cube, which the cube to most is a square with 3 dimensions. But to take that theory a bit further, when the 3 dimensions are combined and aligned, then they form another dimension, and that could explain the 4th dimension. Who knows? But clearly though, relative to most symbols and shapes, and you can refer back to my previous blogs, Louie Zee on YouTube, I can recognize a circuitry being significant. So, relative to the cross and the square, not only does a human individual have to balance their own mind, ego, and spiritualness, and also body. Now, this can deviate a bit further, but it's relative to crystals, energies, and frequencies, music, that, as I previously described, a human being in particular, and everything to nature, is made up of elements of the periodic table. And some of them elements are literally the crystal and stone, what a lot of people, hippies mainly, use for meditational purposes. And this is something I'm just getting into. But blatantly, according to science, we have trace elements of them particular crystals and stones within our body. So, without getting weird, we are relative to them crystals and stones. We have parts of that same element within us. So, this is where I see the frequencies and music. It's as if that certain frequencies created by music and particular Tibetan meditation bowls, they create frequencies, and them frequencies somehow are relative to the energy within these stones, and these stones are somehow relative to the trace elements within our body. Now, this could be a triangle also. So my theory has it that a human must find balance, to put it briefly, but it's relative to the trace elements and all the elements within our body, which are on the periodic table. It's relative to water within our body, because the majority of our body is actually water. And this scientific theory is that when water is exposed to things such as music, that the structure, microscopic structure, I don't know if water has DNA, the microscopic structure of the water water visibly changes in accordance to the frequencies that it has been subjected to. So that's relative to how people use the music. So basically, if you play happy music, then the water within your body will react to that music. Now, I'm going to take this a bit further, and this is relative to that symbol right there, the cross within the square. So let's say the cross represents balance, mental balance, physical balance, and spiritual balance. The square represents balance of the earth, because it's relative to the pentagon, epiphany, and reincarnation. That is my theory, that each man will keep being reincarnated, transgressed or detransgressed according to his deeds in that lifetime, until he achieves heaven on earth. And when he has achieved heaven on earth, he has achieved that. But I realized in the pentagon of epiphany, to achieve heaven on earth, one man cannot just do that alone. It has to be a collective effort. Now, I take that further in relation to the symbol, the cross within the square. That represents the collective consciousness, what I'm describing. So basically, not only does a collective effort, consciousness of balanced human ego and spirit need to be attained, we need to balance the four elements of the earth also, because we are literally relative to the four elements of the earth. We have them four elements within the material, the atomic makeup of our human bodies. We are literally one. We're related. So therefore, everything has to be balanced in order to achieve. Now, I'm going to take this further to another epiphany, which I had on Saturday morning. That part of them periodic elements within our body and within creatures and plants, etc., in this realm, Earth, carbon. Carbon is a key element, and that is relative to fire, and it's also relative to earth. It's relative to air, and it's relative to water. So that the square is a representative, is a symbolic symbol of carbon. And my theory has it that if a colony of ants in test conditions are overexposed to carbon, on my life, I'm sure that colony of ants will lose their collective instinct. So, go and figure the rest out yourself. You know what it is, baby.